evening and welcome to our Friday edition of News Geelong. Salute to Geelong was the farewell concert from our very own Tim McCallum as he begins another journey in his life of music and song. In the world of pulsating sports around Geelong, the birthday boy, the Flying Hawk, Nathan Currie, will bring us all the latest sports news. And in the atmospheric conditions that surround our great city, the sparkling Larni Salathiel, the saintly one, will update us with the latest weather information over the next few days. News Geelong recently caught up with Geelong West bicycle mechanic Chris Fry, who has received the opportunity of a lifetime when he will work for the #1 world team Pro Tour during the 2010 Tour de France. A bike rider himself, Fry has won the gruelling Mount Borbor Classic and raced the amateur scene in Europe before focusing more on bike mechanics.
Well, Chris, you're not just going to watch the Tour de France, you're actually working with the world's #1 Pro Tour team, Columbia HTC. How did you score that gig?
Well, I was originally, I was just at the Herald Sun Tour last year with my girlfriend actually, and I was just standing around, didn't have any idea that I'd be offered a place as a mechanic. And my friend Lee Howard, who races for the team, come up to me and asked me whether I'd be interested in racing. So I was like, yeah, not racing, like being a mechanic. And I was like, yeah, no, sounds good. Like travel the world, get paid to do it.
So you've always been interested in the sport, like cycling?
I've raced bikes since I was 15 years old. So yeah, I've been involved in it for probably 12, 13 years now. So. Racing in Belgium and Spain myself over the years.
So how long will you be away and what's your actual role in the Tour de France?
So at the moment it's a 6-week trial.
Yep.
I'll leave on the 30th of May until about the 7th of July I come back. The first race I go to is the Dauphiné in France, which is a 7-day Pro Tour event. And then I go back to their service department to get bikes ready for the Tour de France. And once that's all ready, you know, the start of the Tour de France, there's a couple of stages in the cobbled section, cobbled roads of the Flanders region. So they need a few extra mechanics for that sort of area there. So yeah, that's what I'll be doing at the Tour de France, just sort of being a mechanic on the side of the road. So it'd be give me a good taste of what's to come next year if I get the full-time job.
If the trial's successful, will they keep you on straight away? Will the trial extend out for a few more weeks? Or
no, they've given me a return ticket already, so it's for the 6 weeks, and then I come back here and help out with the World Championships, which are around Geelong, and then it'll probably be full-time next year for 10 months of the year.
Thank you, Chris, and Geelong wishes you all the very best. Now, many of us seek great solace in our beloved gardens. Geelong's own Zoe Monotti is no exception, with her magnificent gardens surrounding her stately historic home, Strathbrae in Highton, as Meryl Friend reports.
We're here at the beautiful Highton historic home Strathbrae, where Zoe Monotti has had her beautiful garden open to people from all over the world, bringing people to Geelong to see not only her garden but the botanical gardens. And she gave us a little bit of a look at her garden here today. Zoe, you've been working very hard on open gardens for a couple of decades now, and a couple of weekends ago you had people come through again. What does the garden mean to you?
Well, I do love it. I'm passionate about it, but I also am passionate about trying to show other gardeners that we can have a garden with these severe drought and restrictions that's still full of colour, and I think I've been able to achieve that. I've constantly altered it since we're on level 4, but what we have now I think is sustainable with the tough restrictions.
Now, you've been at the home for decades yourself, and where we're standing now used to be the family tennis court, so you've had a lot of changes over the years, particularly with the water restrictions. And so what's your perhaps your best clue for people who are trying to work in their gardens with these restrictions?
I think that you do really need to research the plants you're putting in, because we're not the only country that has this type of climate. And if you know where the plants come from, then you can often know that they're going to do all right here. I've got lots of plants from California, even Turkey, and perennials like that are available, but you sometimes need to just do a little bit of research and find out what is really going to do well here.
You've been acclaimed all over the world with your garden, and you've had publications in Germany as well.
That's right. We were initially in the BBC's garden magazine called Garden Illustrated, and as a result of that we were in the German garden magazine, and that continued really into virtually all the magazines in Australia.
From Strathspey, Meryl Friend, News Geelong.
Thank you, Meryl. Remember, take your time and smell the flowers. Now, what will seek and find you? What will take you to bed and have its way with you? Do you know? Well, Geelong's Bowen Health staff do. It's the flu. The National Health and Medical Research Council recommends that all healthcare providers have an influenza vaccination to reduce the risk of being infected and or transmitting influenza to patients, as we report on News Geelong.
Eugene, why is it so important to get the percentage of Bowen Health workers getting immunised? Why is it so important for those percentages to rise?
Well, it's important because flu is a serious disease at any time. Last winter we experienced a very severe epidemic, the swine flu, which people know well about. So we need to protect our hospital staff, both for their own health, but also, more importantly, also to protect the patients and the community within the hospital, because people are vulnerable to serious complications from flu if they do contract flu. So we're trying to increase the proportion of our staff that are immunised and protected. We've had a gradual increase in the last few years. We're now aiming for 60%, but we'd like to even go beyond that if we can.
So the response has been well received, like they're all keen to go in and get immunised, or?
I think so. I think that last year's swine flu pandemic increased people's awareness about the flu and the seriousness of it. We had quite a proportion of serious cases. The majority of people were only experiencing a mild illness, but certainly we had a lot more cases of flu than we would see otherwise. And the vaccine is safe, it's effective, and we'd certainly want staff to take it up. And we've found that we've had a good response in recent years. Yeah.
How do the general public go about getting immunised?
Well, that's quite easy actually. GPs provide the vaccine. It's recommended each year, particularly those who are in risk groups, so those who've got underlying medical conditions, lung disease, heart disease, diabetes, for example. So I'd suggest strongly to people to recommend them to go and see their GP and get their flu shot leading up to winter.
As we go to our first break, we'll return with more on our Friday edition of News Geelong after this.